In the final, desperate days of the Second World War, as empires crumbled and the world held its breath for the final act, one ship was entrusted with a secret of unimaginable power. She was the USS Indianapolis, a proud Portland-class heavy cruiser and the flagship of the U.S. Fifth Fleet. For years, she had served with distinction, earning 10 battle stars and surviving everything the enemy could throw at her. But in July of 1945, she was given her most important, and most dangerous, mission of all. Under a shroud of extreme secrecy at Hunters Point Naval Shipyard in San Francisco, the Indianapolis took on a mysterious cargo. A large wooden crate was loaded under the watchful eyes of armed guards and scientists. Inside were the enriched uranium and key components for a terrible new weapon, codenamed Little Boy. This was the heart of the atomic bomb, and the Indianapolis was tasked with a high-speed, unescorted dash across the Pacific to deliver it to the island of Tinian, the forward base for the B-29 bombers that would carry it to Japan. The ship's captain, Charles McVay, understood the immense weight of his responsibility. Pushing his vessel to its absolute limit, the Indianapolis shattered speed records, crossing the vast expanse of the Pacific in just 10 days. On July 26, the secret cargo was safely delivered. The mission was a flawless success. A sense of relief washed over the crew. With their duty done, they were ordered to sail from Guam to Leyte in the Philippines, to prepare for the expected invasion of the Japanese mainland. The worst, it seemed, was over. But the pride of the fleet was sent on its way alone. In a fatal vortex of miscommunication, bureaucratic oversight, and the extreme secrecy of her previous mission, the Indianapolis was routed through dangerous waters without an escort. Intelligence reports of active Japanese submarines in the area were not passed on to Captain McVay. His request for an escort was denied. The Navy plotting centers responsible for tracking her assumed she had arrived safely. In reality, she was sailing into an ambush. Just after midnight on July 30, 1945, the Japanese submarine I-58, commanded by Mochitsuru Hashimoto, was patrolling that very route. Through his periscope, Hashimoto saw a dark shape approaching. It was a large, fast-moving warship, not zigzagging, perfectly silhouetted by the moonlight. It was the perfect target. He gave the order to fire. A spread of 6 torpedoes sped silently through the dark water. 2 found their mark. The first torpedo blew the bow completely off the Indianapolis, instantly killing dozens of men. The second struck midship, near a fuel tank and powder magazine, resulting in a catastrophic explosion that ripped the ship in half and cut all power. The massive, 10,000-ton cruiser immediately began to list heavily. No distress signal was ever confirmed as having been received. The damage was fatal and the end was swift. The USS Indianapolis, flagship of the fleet, capsized and sank in just 12 minutes. Of the nearly 1,200 men on board, an estimated 900 made it off the burning, sinking wreck and into the dark, oil-slicked water. Their ordeal had just begun. As the sun rose on the first morning, the survivors saw the true horror of their situation. They were alone, scattered across miles of open ocean, with few life rafts and almost no food or water. The ship was gone. The Navy didn't even know she was missing. For the men floating in the vast, empty expanse of the Philippine Sea, rescue was not coming. The days that followed descended into a living nightmare. The relentless tropical sun beat down, blistering their skin and driving them mad with thirst. Many, in their delirium, began to drink the salt water, which only hastened their deaths through severe dehydration and hallucinations. Men who were friends one moment became enemies the next, fighting over imaginary islands or fresh water. At night, the cold set in, and many died of hypothermia, slipping away silently in the darkness. And then came the sharks. Attracted by the explosions and the blood in the water, swarms of oceanic whitetips, among the most aggressive predators in the ocean, began to circle the survivors. At first, they took the dead. But soon, they began attacking the living, striking from below with terrifying speed. The men formed circles, trying to watch every direction, kicking and shouting to ward them off, but it was a losing battle. For 4 days and 5 nights, the survivors fought against the sun, the salt, the madness, and the constant, circling terror in the water below. They were invisible to the world, slowly being erased from existence. On the 4th day, August 2nd, the miracle they had prayed for arrived by sheer chance. Lieutenant Wilbur, Chuck, Gwynn, piloting a PV-1 Ventura bomber on a routine anti-submarine patrol, was flying off course due to a faulty antenna. Looking down, he spotted a long oil slick. Thinking it came from a damaged submarine, he descended to investigate. What he saw was impossible: heads, bobbing in the water. Hundreds of them. Realizing he had stumbled upon a massive group of survivors, Gwyn immediately broke radio silence, reporting his position and calling for immediate assistance. He dropped his survival gear, but it was a mere drop in an ocean of need. Hearing the call, another pilot, Lieutenant Adrian Marks, flying a PBY Catalina seaplane, raced to the scene. Seeing the sharks attacking the men below, Marks defied standing orders and made a harrowing open ocean landing in rough seas. He and his crew began taxiing among the survivors, pulling the weakest and most injured from the water, strapping them to the wings when the fuselage was full. Mark's heroic act lit the way. That night, the first rescue ship, the USS Cecil J. Doyle, arrived on the scene. Its captain, navigating in darkness, pointed his largest searchlight straight into the sky to act as a beacon of hope for the scattered men. One by one, the living was pulled from the water. But for most, it was too late. Of the nearly 900 men who survived the sinking, only 316 were rescued alive. It remains the United States Navy's single greatest loss of life at sea from a single ship. In the aftermath, seeking a scapegoat for the disaster, the Navy made a controversial decision. They court-martialed Captain Charles McVay for hazarding his ship by failing to sail a zigzag course. In a bizarre and unprecedented move, they even brought the Japanese submarine commander, Hashimoto, to testify against him. McVay was convicted, a stain on his otherwise distinguished career. Though his sentence was later remitted, he lived with the blame for the rest of his life, eventually taking his own life in 1968. For decades, the survivors of the Indianapolis fought to clear their captain's name. Finally, in the year 2000, through an act of the U.S. Congress, Captain McVay was posthumously and fully exonerated. The story of the USS Indianapolis is a haunting legacy of supreme sacrifice, unimaginable horror, and incredible survival. It is a testament to the endurance of the human spirit, and a somber reminder of the brutal,